Howdy. Astrophysicists make observations consistent with the predictions of an alternative theory of gravity. University of Bonn. An international team of astrophysicists has made a puzzling discovery while analyzing certain star clusters. The finding challenges Newton's law of gravity. The researchers write in their publication. Instead, the observations are consistent with the predictions of an alternative theory of gravity. Electric universe, anyone? However, this is controversial among experts. The results have been published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. In their work, the researchers investigated open star clusters. These are formed when thousands of stars are born within a short time in a huge gas cloud. As they ignite, haven't I been talking also about igniting of planets, Saturn, Jupiter? The galactic newcomers blow away the remnants of the gas cloud. In the process, the cluster expands considerably. This creates a loose formation of several dozen to several thousand stars. These weak gravitational forces acting between them hold the cluster together. In most cases, open star clusters survive only a few 100 million years before they dissolve, explains Professor Dr. Pavel Kroupa of the Helmholtz Institute of Radiation and Nuclear Physics at the University of Bonn. In the process, they regularly lose stars, which accumulate in two so-called tidal tails. One of these tails is pulled behind the cluster as it travels through space. The other, in contrast, takes the lead like a spearhead. According to Newton's law of gravity, it's a matter of chance in which of the tails a lost star ends up, explains Dr. Jan Vlam Altenburg of the Helmholtz Institute of Radiation and Nuclear Physics. So both tails should contain about the same number of stars. However, in our work, we were able to prove for the first time that this is not true. In the clusters we studied, the front tail always contains significantly more stars nearby to the cluster than the rear tail. The new method developed for counting stars. Until now, it has been almost impossible to determine from among the millions of stars close to a cluster those that belong to its tails. Due to this, you have to look at the velocity, direction of motion, and age of each of these objects, explains Dr. Teresa Yerabkova, the author of the paper, who did her doctorate in Kroupa's group, recently moved from the European Space Agency to the European Southern Observatory in Garching. She developed a method that allowed her to accurately count the stars in the tails for the first time. So far, 5 open clusters have been investigated near us, including 4 by us, she says. When we analyzed all the data, we encountered the contradiction with the current theory. When we analyzed all the data, we encountered the contradiction with the current theory. The very precise survey data from ESA's Gaia space mission were indispensable for this. The observation data, in contrast, fits much better with a theory that goes by the acronym MOND. Modified Newtonian dynamics. Oh man, I told you. They will figure out something, give it a new name, and then claim it's their own finding. Modified Newtonian dynamics. Put simply, according to MOND, stars can leave a cluster through two different doors. Kropa explains. One leads the rear tidal tail, the other one the front. However, the first is much narrower than the second, so it's less likely that a star will leave the cluster through it. Newton's theory of gravity, on the other hand, predicts that both doors should be the same width. Star clusters are shorter lived than Newton's laws predict. The timeline issue. Things happen faster. They happen much more recently, and probably they're gonna happen much quicker in the future as well. The team calculated the stellar distribution expected according to MOND. The results correspond surprisingly well with the observations, highlights Dr. Ingo Thies, who played a key role in the corresponding simulations. However, we had to resort to relatively simply computational methods to this. We currently lack the mathematical tools for more detailed analysis for modified Newtonian dynamics. You know, I'm a layman. I'm just some random dude somewhere. Basically, no one gives any credibility or whatsoever to me. I'm really aware of that. But I know at least one person who could provide a mathematical tool. I'm not claiming to understand it. I'm not a mathematician. But at least I, in a way, I know about it. I, to some degree, understand it even. They don't. Nevertheless, I will show you after we get through that. Nevertheless, the simulations also coincided with the observations in another respect. They predicted how long open star clusters should typically survive, and this time span is significantly shorter than we would expect according to Newton's laws. This explains a mystery that has been known for a long time. You cannot know a mystery because it's a mystery. But anyway, Kropa points out, namely, star clusters in nearby galaxies seem to be disappearing faster than they should. However, the MOND theory is not undisputed among experts, since Newton's laws of gravity would not be valid under certain circumstances. They aren't. But would have to be modified. This would have far-reaching consequences for other areas of physics as well. Yes. Then again, it solves many of the problems that cosmology faces today, explains Kropa. The team is now exploring new mathematical methods for even more accurate simulations. They could then be used to find further evidence as to whether the MOND theory is correct or not. Can we click anywhere on this MOND thing? Is there any text about the MOND theory? Modified? I just want to point out the form of this. Zero. Oh. And this form. Let me show you something I know about me, a totally uneducated layman in the middle of nowhere. This is Dr. Donald E. Scott. He made the mathematical model for Birkeland currents. And as I just showed you, remember this? It looks exactly the same, except that here we have the other as well. Let's give a quick listen to him. That's several years old already.
faster and it's farther out. So that shows, yes, that the outer ring of that galaxy is the one that's plotted in purple. You follow me? And the bottom diagram is just dispersion of the data. But anyway, see if I can continue on. That's what I just said. So Merrifield's explanation of this was right on, spot on. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to spectroscopy. He doesn't really analyze it, I think, properly. Well, this is, many of you have seen me talk here before, that's a typical diagram that I always put up of what a Birkeland current looks like. And you can see the counter rotation and the shading, the salmon color, very dense in the middle. In the middle ring it's a little less dense, and in the outer ring it's even less dense. It indicates that there is collection of matter at various discrete radius values. And what the rest of this, just keep going here, the slide shows is that if you analyze this in great detail, you will find that it is very probable to see in a situation like this something that looks like spiraling inward. Not just going around, but spiraling inward. I submit those are almost optical illusions. Those spirals exist, the shape exists, but if you notice the little tiny black arrows that form those spirals, some of the stuff is going in one direction and some of the matter is going in the opposite direction. So those spirals are not spiraling in. They're like tattoos, if you will, on the face of the galaxy. Well, that's not a very important point, but it's a point.
Let me search still some other stuff from him.
That's what I've been able to find. Anyway, just one last kind of piece of evidence. Have you guys heard of what do they call it, the blue eye of the desert? The Richat structure. It's in the Sahara Desert. It's about 30 miles in diameter. The rings are spaced equidistantly from each other. That's a buzz. Anybody who knows anything about Bessel functions realize that the zeros are all equally spaced. And I'll talk more about that in my next talk about how Bessel functions are important. But forget the math. The surface altitude is higher toward the center, and there's what it looks like. If that doesn't look like a Birkeland current, and it's about 30 miles across there. Anyway, that's another example. So I'm concluding by saying I think we've seen several planets have auroras that are likely created by Birkeland currents. The Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and possibly Mercury, Neptune, who knows. Be interesting to see what they find in Pluto next month, if they take any measurements of that at all. And we now have evidence of concentric counter-rotation as predicted by the Bessel function that is the Lundquist model on 3 of them. That is Saturn, Jupiter, and Earth. So how about the Sun? Is there...
Yeah. This is for the people of the Sun. And for those who know about cosmic cycles, we can add to this also. It's coming back around again. It's somehow very interesting that even a layman like me knows about the Birkeland current simulator. In the electric universe model, galaxies, stars and planets are connected together with vast electric currents. This explains why galaxies align like pearls on a string and gives structure to the universe. Here, maybe I should change the color. Here you can play around with the Bessel function, but I'm not going to do it now. Here's a Birkeland current. You can extrude. You can adjust it. It's a bit hard with a cell phone. You can turn it around. You can watch straight in. And there's like smoothness what you can increase, and also the speed. And you know, I'm not saying I understand to every detail all of the things I'm talking about. But I just want to show you that everyday people like you and me have access to these kind of things. How does those NASA or whatever scientists don't know, don't want to talk? We are talking about Birkeland currents, electromagnetic forces, electric currents, magnetic fields, which is totally scalable. Your heart beats because it gets an electroshock every few moments. Your thoughts are electromagnetic impulses interpreted by your brain. Everything you know is only a memory. Some say memory is stored within your aura. It's just amazing. This hasn't anything to do with MOND, modified. What was it again? Newtonian, whatever. Gravity theory. Gravity is just a side effect of the electromagnetic force. So maybe we are witnessing not only the crumbling of our society, but also the crumbling of an old, like somewhat 150-year-old paradigm, which lacks so much of evidence, which is so full of obscurancies and very strange things, like black holes, dark energy, dark matter. The universe is empty almost by 95%, is what they are saying. There is nothing out there. It's just cold. They say humans use only about 4% or something, or even less percent of their brain capacity. Which has, in a way, similar numbers in it. And I think they are wrong. They are just trying to obscure everything. They are just trying to with all they have, not having to admit being wrong. I don't get any money out of that, what I do. I don't have any money to do what I do. I only have basically a cell phone. That's it. Yeah, I have a small saw which I can, small pieces of rock, and I can saw them, and then I have to grind them by hand. And that's basically the only equipment I have. and I can use a microscope every now and then. But still, I know about these things. And it's just so interesting to read an alternative theory of gravity. And they have, like, where was it? Here it was, for example. However, this is controversial among experts. I don't think it would be controversial with Donald Scott, for example. Or they maybe should call him and ask a few questions. And they would get immediately rid of their problems. The mystic, what they have. I'm still searching for this. The pros and regular accumulate the so-called tidal. Is one of the stresses. According to the laws of gravity, it's a matter of chance and which so both tests could number ever. Somewhere there was mentioned the word mystery or something. No, I don't find it now, but we encountered the contradiction with the current theory. Maybe this should be taken into. We encountered the contradiction with the current theory. So we just modified it. We cannot agree it's wrong. No, we just modify it. Give it a new name and then claim it's our finding. But Wikipedia, Christian Birkeland, 1867 to 1917. He is best remembered for his theories of atmospheric electric currents that elucidated the nature of the aurora borealis, hence the visible part of the Birkeland current. That's why it's named after him. In order to found his research in the aurora, he invented the electromagnetic cannon and the Birkeland eye process of fixing nitrogen from air. Birkeland was nominated for the Nobel Prize 7 times. I don't know, maybe he never got it. Let's throw another but in here. And yes, we are again, or still on Wikipedia. Hannes Alfén. Hannes Olof Gustav Alfén, 1908 to 1995, was a Swedish electrical engineer, plasma physicist, and winner of the 1970 Nobel Prize in Physics for his work on magnetohydrodynamics. He described a class of MHD waves known as Alfén waves. He was originally trained as an electrical power engineer and later moved to research and teaching in the fields of plasma physics and electrical engineering. Alfén made many contributions to plasma physics, including theories describing the behavior of aurora, the Van Allen radiation belts, the effect of magnetic storms on the Earth's magnetic field, the terrestrial magnetosphere, and the dynamics of plasmas in the Milky Way galaxy. Plasma physicist, Nobel Prize winner in 1970. October 26th, 2022. If he got the Nobel Prize in 1970, now I reach out to mathematics. It's 52 years since. Astrophysicists make observations consistent with the predictions of an alternative theory of gravity. That's somehow like really amazing. How can they be so ignorant towards so important things for so long time in such great numbers? This leaves an average person, layman, in Finnish maalikko, totally baffled. And it raises many questions. Many questions. But anyway, I leave it here. Thanks.